So regarding things you can't say, when have there been times in your career where somebody has said something to you and you looked at them like, I can't believe you just said that to me?
Well, you know, some people aren't really educated in, I guess you want to say, in an appropriate manner. Some people you can't blame. There was an example when I was working on a television series called Reasonable Doubts. I'm sure you're probably too young to remember that show. It was with Mark Harmon, but it was a TV series with Mark Harmon, as I said, and we were on the set, and an executive from the network came to visit the studio and talk to the executive producer for a second after watching me work. This is on my first year of the show. And he goes, you know what? Marlee Matlin is great. Is she going to be deaf for the whole show? and you know, there are times, I mean, bless his heart, what can you say? There are times when I'm on planes and they give me the menus in first class and they see me signing. Before they even speak or think, they give me a menu in Braille.
Really?
They
Is
do.
that a
Three or four times.
So
Times it's happened.
that's a common mistake of just ignorance.
It's a common mistake, and they mean well, God bless them, but when I say, I'm not blind, I'm deaf, and they're like, yeah, you're right, yes, and then I go like, hello, and they're like, oh, and then I never see them for the rest of the flight.
Yeah, they're humiliated.
Yeah.
I remember on Celebrity Apprentice,
Yes.
you got into it with somebody that you were trying to do a challenge and something came up about being deaf.
Miss Dionne Warwick, bless her heart.
That's right.
We had a task, I don't know, maybe she might have old-fashioned values or something of that sort. Whatever deaf people are in her mind, whatever she thinks they can do or can't do, we were trying to make a book for children, and I threw out so many different ideas, because you have to come up with ideas. I mean, every one of us thought our ideas were good on the show. But, so I said, why don't we have a deaf character? And she said that being deaf, or having a deaf character, was sad, and it would make children sad. And she thought perhaps that it wasn't appropriate to expose them to deaf characters. And to this day, I don't get it.
And she said it to you.
I couldn't be mad at her. I mean, you know, Mr. Trump said, well, Marlee, you have to respect her. She's a music legend. And I said, well, yeah. And he goes, well, don't you respect that? And I go, well, I'm deaf. I don't know what a music legend is.
Well,
I like her a lot.
I mean, I love Dionne Warwick a lot. I really do.
It's
just the wrong approach to the certain topic. But what are you going to do?
One of the things that I love about you is your sense of humor about being deaf. And on Family Guy,
you have to have a sense of humor.
Guy,
I mean,
yeah.
Family Guy's a perfect example.
Yeah, Family Guy kind of spoofed you, but you didn't take offense. You went and joined them.
Exactly, because, I mean, they made fun of me twice on the show. And you know, it's a cartoon, Family Guy is, and naturally, my close friends said, you know what, Marlee, you've been on the show, they've made fun of you. And so I said, let me hear it. And so I thought it was the most hilarious thing. But then I thought, well, you know what, it might be even funnier if I got into it and was part of it, which I did, and it was fantastic, it was great. And I got to make fun of them back, to Alex and to Seth. I mean, you have to be able to do that. Life is too short. You just have to make the best out of it. Just have a sense of humor. I mean, we did the same thing on Seinfeld. My name is Earl. I get to be part of the joke and to make fun of myself. It's okay. It's okay for me to do this. I guess it's okay for me to do it.
It's just not.
No.
So all right, more with Marlee. We'll be right back. You're a little naughty. That's the side of people that we don't often see. You're always important in talking about being deaf and why actors need to, but you go to dinner with Marlee, you get a whole different story. Have you ever used being deaf to your advantage?
Oh, a lot of times, actually.
How?
A lot of times, I do. Oh, well, for example, someone is yelling at me about my driving, or someone is, whatever it is, and I just ignore them, and I just pretend, you know, that I hear, I'm deaf, sorry, nothing I can do about it. And maybe at TSA, you know, you're in the line at TSA at the airport, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't hear what they're asking me stupid questions. And they're like, okay, never mind, just go. And so, or when I get up, you know, on a plane and pre-boarding, and I'm like, I need help. And they let me on first, you know, because I'm handicapped, and I got to get on the plane first. I mean, being deaf has its perks.
So, is it true for you that your other senses have been heightened? That you see things that I would miss?
Absolutely. I'm much more visual. My sense of smell is crazy. It's like a dog, really. It's crazy. And Don't go on a
When you
don't go on a plane with her because she'll smell everybody on the plane. She can smell somebody in
From
row
1A to
47.
47.
She's in 1A, they're in 47, and she'll sit in the plane like this, and she'll go, "Who farted?" And they'll be way, way in the back, and I have to sit there and I gotta go like, "Oh my God, she smells everything. She smells everything.
Okay.
You smell everything.
I do.
You do. She does.
And are there jokes that you can say that are funny that are about being deaf, but I can't say it because if I say it, it's insensitive?
Well, the good example, and I can do this because I grew up with deaf parents, we can make fun of deaf voices. But only we can. Well, but no, both of us do because my parents, when they would eat, they would make noises, but they wouldn't hear them. So they would make, and I would imitate those. And then I would teach Marlee about that. And then we would kind of do that. But it's so, you couldn't do that.
So if I did it right now, and I tried to mimic your voice. Yeah. And everyone in the deaf community would hate me. They would not think it was even funny.
Not that, you just can't do it, but it doesn't make sense to you to do it. It's just like, it's a deaf culture thing. You have to understand how the culture makes fun of itself and the way that people do stuff like that.